Hey, Brett, look at this.
What?
Look at your hands.
This is insane.
We're animated.
I love this.
Look at it. Look at it in the background. You see that big store? You know what that is, Brett?
That is the Ultimart.
I am excited to tell you guys out there, that we are finally, years ago, Brett and I worked on an animated show. And Brett, what's it called?
Shoes and Beef.
Shoes and Beef. Shoes and Beef, friends for life. And they live in the Ultimart. They walk around the Ultimart, which is a store where everything has come alive. And we are excited to tell you guys about Shoes and Beef. It's coming to this channel. Make sure that you guys are sticking around, tuning around, looking around, beefing around, choosing around, beef, shoes, and beef, and beef, and shoes. Yeah, shoes. Friends for life. That was very good, Brett. Thank you. Happy Friday, everybody. Capes and Cowls, we are back. We are back. That's why we're doing the show, because we're back. So it's me, it's Winston, it's Coy. We're going to be talking about the James Gunn thing with DC Connected Universe, all of that. Oh, yeah, Warner Brothers is talking to Amazon about the DC stuff for animated and not just sticking to HBO Max. That was an interesting story. We'll talk about that as well. Miles Morales has a new suit, I guess, or something along those lines. We'll talk about that. I know nothing about that. Boom Studios. We're excited to talk about some of the comics coming up. Guardians. We haven't talked about the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, so I don't know what the guys think of it, but I'm curious to find out. Shazam. There was some line in Shazam that everybody, I guess, went bananas over and didn't like, and now they're cutting it out of the movie. I don't know what. I had paid no attention to it anyway, but something about a dragon. I don't know what it was. And then there's other things we'll talk about. There's a lot of other things inside of the news that we're excited that you're going to join us for it. If you haven't been a part of this show already and you're brand new to the channel, why don't you do me a favor and show a little class and subscribe. We're almost there, guys. We're almost at 60. We're going to be at 60 hopefully by Tuesday. Avatar's coming out. We're hoping that by Tuesday we'll hit 60. We'd love to hit 70 by the end of the year. It could be a stretch, but hey, whatevs. Speaking of Capes and Cowls, you got the shirt. You want to go get it and go to the merch, TeePublic. The link is in the description. You can get yourself a Capes and Cowls shirt. You can get yourself a Top Gun shirt. You can do all that stuff, man. It's pretty great. Patreon. Been meeting a lot of you on Patreon, which is really cool. I have these one-on-one sessions that I've been doing. We rewatch, talk about the guys. We got Avatar rewatch that we're going to be doing soon, so make sure you check that out. We have trivia games going on over there. There's a lot of stuff, and I'm really excited. It's a way to support the channel, so I hope you head on over there, check it out. Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We've been getting more and more downloads because of you guys. It helps support the show when you go over there. If you want to listen to us on the road, please do so you can hear stuff like this. Sorry. Had to do it. Had to let it go. So judge me if you will. I don't care. All right, everybody, let's get into it. It's Capes and Cowls. It's me. It's Winston. It's Coy. And I'm going to give you one guess on who was late today. So you guys are going to guess while we go to the logo. You can guess. It's Capes and Cowls. Let's do it. Shoes and the beef. Beef and the shoe. And beef and the shoes and the beef. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Capes and Cowls. Myself, Coy Jandro, Winston A. Marshall, and us. So, everybody out there, guess right now. I want you to guess in the comments section because we're not live right now. I want you to guess who was late today. Was it Winston? Was it Coy? Was it me? Was I late to my own house? All right. Have you guessed? Have you put it in the comment section? Have you paused it to see if you're right? Have you guessed Coy? Because if you did, you were wrong.
Oh.
Winston A. Marshall sent a big text here last night, and this is what he said. He said, hey, guys, listen, I got to get to work a little early. And if you
just on time, not early. I just got to be there at 1.
I got to be there on time. So if you can help me out and you can get there early. So Coy left last Wednesday.
I did. Basically, when we finished the show, I started back. I just was like, I should just not tempt fate.
And he got here, and I said, hey, would you like me to get some coffee going? He's like, please. Got some of that trade coffee brewing. I got it brewing for him.
I laid out my clothes like a 4th grader last night because I did not want to be late.
And he got here.
Successful as professionals lay their clothes out in the morning.
I know, but I don't. Like, so I felt like a fourth grader. Like I'd like to be a successful
He's got his
professional.
Capes and
but,
Cowls
like,
shirt on.
I was ready. But
So
like, when's
I
the
was
last
about to
time
give
you did
Winston-
that wasn't in grade school. Like I felt like a kid.
I just didn't want to put the same shirt on.
Well, no, I was gonna, but you're still showing us some class. No, because you're show everybody your mug.
Show us some
everybody
class.
your mug. You're
Show some class, baby.
showing just a little class and showing up a little bit late, but that's okay. Show a little. Show an ounce.
Still think it's worth
But
the
it's
time.
we talked about this. All this was above all else
Yes.
is you said you had to do this with your wife. My girlfriend has to do this with me. It's a situation where we're like, oh shit, we gotta be there at 9. Hey baby, we gotta be there at 8.
Right.
And then you just
Yeah, but
I think once there's guilt, like I felt genuinely bad, so I was like, no, I'm gonna actually be on time.
I'm not as it's not as much as that you were late. It's the fact that you told everybody to be early.
I didn't say that. All I said, though, I said, can we please start at 11? And I said at the latest 11:15. It is perfect. It is 11:25.
It is perfect. It is 11:25.
But all things considered, that is doable. That is totally doable.
We did. There's stuff to talk about. Obviously, it's Coy and I were talking about. We're going to do some pre-taping, obviously, as we get to the holiday season, and we'll do some lists. I did a ranking system of my my Phase 4.
Ooh,
I did the same.
Marvel.
so I like that.
I did 8. There were 18 of them.
Yeah, it was a big list.
I was going to say, because last year, while we were doing when we were just regular big thing shows, we did our movies of the year. We did our top 10 list or whatever. So we maybe do that.
We're talking
or
about
We can do one episode everything, one episode comic.
Well, everything I'm gonna do on my own because I do those long lists. But I think for Capes and Cowls, we'll do like a full. Coy had an interesting idea that maybe we do one where it's just we just rank and talk about all the TV shows, and then we do one where we just rank all the movies and do it that
Peacemaker
way.
and the boys haven't got enough love because we've been.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
it's just been a long.
It's been a long year. So
the Batman was this year.
Yeah, so I think movies. Yeah, I think we do 2 separate ones to kind of push us into.
I think it'd be fun.
And we could do. Or we could combine them both, and we can do an anticipated for next year also.
Ooh, that's fun.
that'd be good.
Which is another one.
There'll be slow news in January, so I'm always worried about that.
It's slow news now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's slow
been-
for a bit.
It's been, I mean, Avatar's the only game in town, and so these trailers came out, and again, Coy said, we'll talk about this. I don't even have an image for it because
I'm just like, let's
no,
do
but Transformers. You brought up Transformers, and
It's a
I was like, it's not really a comic. You're like, yeah, it has its own comics, and it did. I remember I used to read the Transformers versus G.I. Joe, which I loved, the old Marvel thing. And this is what I'll say about the trailer, because you haven't seen the trailer yet.
Of what?
Of the new Transformers movie.
Rise of the Beast.
So it came out, and I watched it. There were tons of trailers came out. The Mario one came out. That came out. There's something. The Cocaine Bear came out. There's so many trailers that dropped over.
I
the last
assume
couple
some big
days.
trailers are dropping this afternoon.
It's some more big trailers. Okay.
There's a Brazilian Comic-Con that is usually when Marvel does their winter stuff.
Oh.
So I'd expect. I'm putting money on Guardians and Ant-Man today.
Really?
Yeah. So stay ready. Stay vigilant.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be
Caffeinate.
Here. I'll be here. So,
Trade coffee.
but so Transformers, and I watch it, and my initial as I was watching it, this is, and I stand by it because Coy's like, it looks great, and I said it does look great. I said the visuals look fantastic, the images look amazing. I am not getting fooled again. I'm not getting fooled again. Bumblebee, I loved.
The last one I've
Loved
seen
it.
is, I want to say, the first one Mark Wahlberg was in. So that's the
I
third
don't know
one.
what you're talking about. Which one? Which is the one that
He loves when those robots change.
I'm not sure. I mean,
The one where it's like, what the girl was like 15.
You
He's
gotta
like,
be more specific, man.
the one
I've
where
got
his
this
daughter-
laminated
the
piece of
kids-
paper so I can rape kids or something. It's uncomfortable.
The dude that's trying to bang the daughter is like consent in Texas.
Dude,
whatever that one.
uncomfortable.
The one thing I will give these movies, they have always looked good.
Yeah,
They're
visual-
just not good.
So the
What
first
do you
one,
call
people,
it? Romeo and Juliet clause? Was that what that excuse
Yes,
was? It was
yes.
that,
No,
that
it's-
made
it's-
me.
which
Yeah,
is
that,
a real thing
he
in
does that a
Texas.
Michael Bay is not funny. He's not funny, and he tries to be funny. And like, I love The Rock. I think we talked about that
one of my
recently.
favorites.
It's a great movie.
Which one? Pain
The
and Gain?
Rock.
Oh, The Rock.
Yeah, the
Okay,
Pain and
specific.
Gain is a
Yeah, I
good
like a lot,
made
too.
film, but I don't like it because I don't like the way that he treated the real life scenario. That's my biggest
Okay.
beef.
if
with
that
it.
movie was fiction, I would have enjoyed it.
100%. But but when it comes to these comedic beats he tries to do, he is the most unfunny human maybe ever. Like, and he's just so serious, and on the set he's supposed to be like, and his comedy sucks, and he continuously tries to do this, and people love that first movie. I don't. I think again, agree. Looks
First
great.
Transformers.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Optimus
It's fine.
Prime hopping around a house and hiding and successfully doing so. I'm out. The Transformers 1986 animated film is
good.
the best, and then followed by Bumblebee. Bumblebee was awesome.
It's the
I
best.
haven't seen it.
Bumblebee is really good, dude.
It's not Bay though, right? He just produced.
No, it was Travis Knight. I don't think Bay even had.
You know who's
maybe
directing the Beast one? He came on our show. Yeah, Stephen Cable Jr. Creed director, man. Remember when Cable came in?
Bay's not doing this one.
No. That's why it's going to be good.
Oh,
I'm telling you.
Oh, they got
I'm
him.
telling you.
I like Cable Jr.
I got to see that happen in real time.
I
No,
thought
it's
Bay.
Cable Jr., dude.
Okay.
And you remember how
Holy
passionate
shit,
that guy
look at
is.
him.
Well, I
You remember that
got
guy's
more-
passion.
I got more. Bay's not funny.
And Bay doesn't
Bay's
touch
not a
it.
good
Bay's not
director.
touching this.
Well, I don't know that.
I mean, he's probably like over here,
Producing.
but like they're not going to let him have creative control after all the stuff he just went through.
Okay.
Like
What
not,
did he
in
just
the
go through?
like the movies all went like into the, you know.
Not gonna lie to you.
In the
That
Transformers
changed my
movie.
opinion of the movie significantly.
Holy
Stephen Cable Jr.,
crap.
dude.
Significantly.
Yeah.
That might be the fastest turnaround.
I love that. So,
I
well, it's
think I've
one
ever
mega fact.
seen.
You got a huge change.
But what did I say though? I didn't say, "Oh, this looks terrible."
Yeah.
You
Oh
said
my
you've
God,
been burned
now I
5
like
times.
it. I said it looks good, but I ain't getting fooled. I might not have getting fooled because Stephen Cable Jr. is a good director.
And the way he was the way he was so passionate about Creed, I think he's gonna do something. He doesn't follow up something he's passionate about with Creed, but something he's not passionate about,
Yeah.
which is why I believe in this, because it feels like the show. It feels like the Transformers show. So that shows me that he's gonna put full into it.
You're 100% sure.
100%.
I mean, we have the internet.
I don't do that.
You don't do that.
No, I don't do
We
it.
don't check facts here.
No, I don't. I'm proud of it. I had somebody. I had
Infowars,
somebody,
Capes and Cowls.
No, I had somebody on Jedi Council, Sith Council recently go, "Why don't you guys learn the names?" And I wrote back, "No." I said, "I'll learn the names when I learn the names." When I figure, guess what? Now I know that Stephen Cable Jr. is directing. So when someone says who's directing, Stephen
Now
Cable
you
Jr.,
know.
did I Google it? Nope. My friends told me.
Well, I mean, you better hope he's not just saying that to get you to turn around.
I know.
And it's, oh God, and it's
Watch, and I hate it again.
It's
He's gonna
like
tell me in 2
Tommy
seconds.
Wiseau directing it now. You just,
I still better than Beck.
Oh, hi Optimus.
Yeah.
Like just.
Hi, Prime.
Stephen Cable Jr. Stephen Cable Jr.
Okay, good.
confirmed.
Nice
Okay.
job. Okay, good,
Megatron,
good,
you're
good.
driving me insane. Oh, hi Optimus.
Oh, hi, Megatron. He can protect the base. did you ever see that the old? So there was the one of my favorite. They did the GI Joe, the pork chop sandwiches. You guys have seen those?
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, those are amazing.
Those are the best. Well, they did one for Optimus Prime where it's called the Rude Awakening of Optimus Prime.
Okay.
And it's hilarious. And it's like after, so if you've seen the 1986 movie, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it, you've been spoiled. Here you go. Prime dies, right?
Yeah,
So,
shocking.
so yeah.
Dude, I wasn't born yet.
Sorry, buddy. So
Gave you 2 warnings.
so anyway, then he comes back in this special that they did, but this guy dubbed over all the voices of how it happened and he's just like and he doesn't know Wheelie, who shows up, and Wheelie's like the fast talking thing. He's like, "Who the fuck's this Autobot?" and he's just like, "Well, Prime, he's done this. He could guard the base." and he calls like Cup is like standing there, and he's just like, "Well, Prime, I can do." He's like, "I feel like a real shit piece." And he's like, "Well, that's your new name, shit piece." And he's like, "No, I don't know." He's like, "Shit piece, make a
Roll
call.
out.
It's
You know, Epic
hilarious.
Voice Guy did the voice of the Optimus on the ride
Yeah, yeah.
at Universal. So we got stuck. Me and Michelle were on that ride and got stuck on the ride, and literally we were there for like an hour underground, and it's terrifying. There's just lights and like the lack of stuff.
That's amazing.
So we FaceTimed. We sent a video message to Epic Voice Guy, and he put on a helmet and sent us video messages back as
so
Optimus
good.
Prime.
So
So I'm
good.
like showing the kids that it's gonna be okay because Optimus is gonna save
It'll
us.
be
It was
fine.
amazing and precious. So Epic Voice Guy, much love.
So good. Anyway, so that
Shit piece.
I'll-
Roll out.
Roll out. You got to watch it. It's called The Rude Awakening of Optimus Prime.
Amazing.
It's so good.
I think my favorite dubbing of all time, because those GI Joes killed me.
The best.
growing
Pork
up.
chop sandwich.
Oh, get the f out of here, you little idiot! No, those are great, but I think my favorite has to be. Did you ever see the "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch"?
Oh,
Yes.
dude,
Oh my
that was
god!
such early.
You
internet.
cannot harm me in my Jamaican colors.
So that video is one of the first kind of, not first one, but it's when things were going viral.
Yeah.
Hilarious, that video.
Yeah.
And then Ratner decides it's so funny, he puts it in the movie.
Should never have happened.
It was terrible.
That was one of the first examples of like fan.
Stop this.
It's gone too far.
Stop
It's bad.
I won't
Especially
lie when
Vinny Jones. Come on.
You probably cheered for it because you
At the
laughed.
time, yes, because I was like, "Oh my
When
god,
you-
he
yeah.
gets it." But
Right.
then
You look
in
back at it,
retrospect,
it's
I'm like, "This just
come on,
doesn't
you
hit."
That's the thing that we always talk about on this show, on Big Thing, going for the bit over telling the story, right? Oh, speaking of going for the bit, and I want to see what you guys thought about this because I wasn't gonna. I forgot about it, but our buddy Josh Horowitz, who, if you aren't watching Josh's show, the Josh Horowitz channel, which he's taken from like 700 subscribers to like 15,000 in the course of like 3 months, which he's been crushing it, and rightfully so. He's had Henry Cavill on there. He just had on Ralph Macchio. He had Kate Blanchett. He's
Chris
got
Hemsworth.
well, that's where I was going. Sorry, thanks a lot, Coy.
I just skipped the lead.
Yeah, it's all right. He's got Adam Sandler coming up, but he just had on Chris Hemsworth, and I listened to it the other day. It's a great interview.
Yeah. But
there's a lot of even the Real Rejects kind of covered the story out of it. Is that, and it kind of just passed me over when I was listening to it, but Josh asked him about Thor and playing him again, and Hemsworth.
Did that come out of Josh's show?
Yeah. Dude, that huge piece.
And Hemsworth basically said that he would do it again and would want to do it again, but it's got to change. The tone's got to change from where it was. He said because he said the first two were similar in tone, and eventually he was like, it's just getting. He's like, you risk being lazy because I know what I'm doing. It's fine. And then he was challenged with the comedy, and then so now he wants to change it again. And people were kind of taking it as if he was taking a shot at Taika and saying, and subtly saying, I didn't really like the way that came out. And that very well might be the case. It's not how I read it or listened to it. I took it as he was just saying, yeah, we did what we did. But now it's time to do something else in order for me to be challenged.
Because it's not like he was insulting Branagh, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he was insulting Alan Taylor. He was just saying we did this.
Time to move on.
Yeah.
I think it in the sense of Thor. I mean, characters in general are complex, but Thor, if you go back and look in the books, both of those versions we've seen. You know what I mean? We've seen him in the books, and we've seen him now twice in the movies, and sprinkled a little bit in the Avenger film. So cool. But the pick now, let's go a full dark. Like maybe not. You could be evil if you want, but like just like maybe he's a little more
King
bloodthirsty
Thor.
or something.
I want to say go back to serious for sure because
but just a different type instead of Shakespearean.
You got to change it.
The Northman with Thor, man. I want to see the Northman. Like I know that director will never do it, but that flavor.
I know it's a different IP, but it's same family. But I really hope that Andor does some big changes for the both comic book and sci-fi fantasy world.
Has it started doing better numbers wise though?
Yeah, it has been.
Okay,
Because
they released it to the public.
Well, they released it for the public, but it also the word of mouth has been
consistent
really good,
weeks.
and critically, it's the most critically loved Star Wars like in a very long time. Like
people are arguing like ever at this point, which is crazy. I don't know
I'd
if I
say
agree
it's the
with
best
that,
written Star Wars since Empire. But the point being that I hope that people realize that you don't have to go so goofy with stuff sometimes in order to get. Now there are a lot of people out there that felt it was too serious and felt that they needed more fun. And I want to see. I think that Black Panther: Wakanda Forever played in the more serious zone as they should have for it. There was humor. There was stuff like the Okoye stuff was great. The stuff between her and Shuri, I think, worked really well. There were some things I didn't think that they were just trying to again lighten the mood, so use stuff and but still the most serious that we've gotten in a while. I just wondered how is Secret Invasion going to be as far as tone? What do you think?
I think it's going to be Winter Soldier. I think Secret Invasion is going to. So what Secret Invasion needs to do is elicit a sense of paranoia, of foreboding, and dread. Because basically, what we're leading up to with Thunderbolts is distrusting heroes. What we're leading up to with the end of Ms. Marvel is distrusting heroes. What we need before we get to X-Men is right now the Marvel universe is largely maskless. So it doesn't work in the same way because you're like, well, we know these people. So what you need to do with Secret Invasion is say that your face can be a mask and basically we don't know to trust you. So they're going to basically make the unmasking that happens in the comic books happen like it does in Secret Invasion, and like a character you know and love for years might not be who you think they are. And that allows for a sense of paranoia, and that allows that espionage flavor from the 70s to really get under your skin. But what's going to be really cool is in the comic books, these characters aren't all known to the public. In the movies, they are all largely known to the public. So there's an element of the public not trusting them. And that's what I think is going to lead to the X-Men, is a world that hates and fears them is essential. So I think the Thunderbolts are going to be people that we find out aren't the best, and that's not good. Secret Invasion is going to be, oh my God, this hero's an alien that's trying to invade us. There's going to be a lot over the next phase and a half that's going to be distrust, and I think Kang is going to manipulate that. I think Doom's going to manipulate that. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think for this to be successful, this has to feel like Bourne meets like Enemy of the State. Like at every single turn, you have to have this feeling of like, I need to share this information with you, but I don't know if I'm actually just directly talking to that. Like at all points in time,
Right.
you have to feel paranoid. From every iteration I've seen it in animated shows, in the books, it has to be this sense, because there's points where they can't even figure out, they can't come up with a device to figure out who are Skrulls and who are not. So you have to have this constant paranoia, and to the point that it's pushing spy extraordinaire Nick Fury to the edge.
Right.
So I have a feeling that we're not going to get more comedy than like maybe an On Your Left or like the Apple Store guy from Winter Soldier.
Or even stuff like kind of Shuri and Okoye type stuff.
Yeah.
So
But even that, I think you got to tone even that down a little bit. Not super, but
you're gonna have stuff. Like, even when you saw like the conversation that they showed at D23 between Don Cheadle and Sam
there was
Jackson,
dark humor in there.
Yeah, there's some humor in there for sure that they throw in there. But I think it's the stuff that when I watch, I go, I believe that Nick Fury would say that, and I believe that Rhodey would say that.
And I think the
for
Marvels is going to be the more comedic leg of that, because it's body swap, right? The Marvels is going to have that Freaky Friday, which is going to be fun and funny, but in tone, hopefully.
Kamala's going to take over that entire movie.
I almost guarantee it.
She's going to be the
hope
star
so.
of that movie. She's going to surpass both Rambo and it's Rambo, right?
Yeah.
And Brie Larson.
I think Brie Larson is much more comfortable in this tone. I think this is going to be the way for her to be Captain Marvel. I think Brie Larson is an incredible actress. I don't think she's gotten to play Captain Marvel yet.
What did you make of that interview of her on the carpet? Did you see when
she was like,
so they basically asked her if she would play it again, and she looked at the camera. She's like, "Does anybody want me to do it again?" She was like pissed.
Well, if there's anyone that's gotten crap for 10 years, it's Brie Larson about her performance. Like that's the thing. And honestly,
hold it. You know, like,
but honestly, like it's in my, and I've said this publicly, it's in my bottom 4 Marvel movies. And like just because it made $1 billion doesn't mean it's good to me.
Yeah, I know.
That's one I don't rewatch.
I'm not looking forward to rewatching it. I remember thinking first time watching, going, that's fine.
And like I really wanted it to be good because
I liked it.
Well, I'm glad, but I really wanted it to be good because there's not a lot of like little girls that have that hero yet. You know what I mean? We had Wonder Woman, and then there was a gap. Like this was what I wanted Marvel to have, and then they killed Black Widow, and then she had a throwback. Like we really haven't gotten that. But I think that Brie Larson realizes the importance of the character, realizes what it should be, and then the movie didn't come out, and then she got all that crap.
I think she's her own worst enemy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of times I think she doesn't realize she's picking fights when she's trying to do the right thing, but she picks fights sometimes, and I think she gets herself into too much trouble.
I think it's one of those situations, and this happens with folks all the time. I think sometimes you like you said, you're trying to do the right thing and you kind of step in it, but then if somebody constantly is attacking you, you can't turn it off at that point.
I get it.
And I because you see it with Brie Larson, everything there, like just thinking about music, like Lizzo, for example, I appreciate how positive she stays, but like she says one thing and they're like, you fat motherfucker, and it's just like, yo, like chill.
It's a disgusting world, but
I mean, we all handle it so
but what
well
I'll tell
online.
we do. But I'll tell you, thank goodness for Trade Coffee. I'll tell you, I love Trade, and I made sure that I made myself and I made Coy some of that Trade Coffee. I've been telling you guys about it, man. I'm getting hit out on Twitter, and I'm getting hit now on Instagram, and people are like, you're right. I told you. If you guys love drinking coffee every morning, and who doesn't? Come on. You got to check out Trade Coffee. Trade makes it super easy to get the best coffee delivered fresh from the final local roasters around the country. Coy, you had a glass today? And so did you win.
It's in my hand.
What do you guys think? It's pretty damn delicious. It's so good. It smells so good. And I'm hoping that you guys, I know Coy got a whole bag, but look at this stuff. The dark roast is what I got, and I love that stuff, man. Oh, it's so good. Trade Coffee, it's a coffee subscription service that makes it so simple for you to discover new coffees and make your best cup of coffee at home. No fancy equipment required. Trade partners with the nation's top-rated independent roasters, and they send you coffee that they know you're going to love, fresh to your home and on your preferred schedule. And you get to support small local businesses. It's a win-win. So if you're a coffee aficionado or you're brand new, they make it so easy for you. It's amazing. Trade guarantees that you're going to love their first bag of coffee, or they're going to send you a new one for free. Coy, you're not getting a new one, are you?
I am almost done with my first bag.
Sure. And you're not getting a new one. Upgrade your coffee today with Trade Coffee and let them take the guesswork out of finding your perfect cup. This is a great holiday gift. Right now, Trade is offering our listeners a total of $30 off your subscription, plus free shipping at drinktrade.com/bigthing. drinktrade.com/bigthing. Get $30 off your subscription to the best coffees in the country. drinktrade.com/bigthing. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. I've asked you guys this beforehand. I want to know now. Have you ever gotten one of our sponsors before? If so, which one? And I want to know if you've tried or if you've browsed around the trade coffee. Please let me know. Just go to the link. I'm not telling you have to go and grab something. Go over there, check it out. It helps the show. When you get yourself and you're supporting your coffee habit, you're supporting the show. All right, let's move on over. Let's get some news over here, guys. This is a big one, and I don't know where this thumbnail came from. I just Google imaged it and I picked it up. But James Gunn was on Twitter the other day, and he said they asked him about. Everybody's curious, obviously. What's the DCU going to look like, and what's going to connect? And they said, is it going to connect to games? Is it going to connect to shows? Is it going to connect to the animated properties? And he said yes.
I was hoping that was what he was going to say.
He said yes.
One big universe.
No, that's my favorite. That is my favorite response when people are like, "Hey man, so what's gonna happen? Like, is the Schmodown? Is it gonna have like 50 matches this year? Is Collins gonna play Apollo Yama? Are you gonna come back? Is Roka coming back? Is Koi gonna play? What's gonna happen?" Yes. What? Yeah. Oh my God.
So he said
2023 Schmodown confirmed.
Well, he said that's right.
Sorry,
it's true. He said yes. And then, but what he also said, they said, well, what about the standalone stuff and all that stuff? There's still gonna be standalone properties. He wasn't very specific on what, and it was a Twitter conversation. So the way that we kind of summed it up, I did Campy show on Tuesday, and we talked about it, and I think that it doesn't mean that everything is going to be connected. Right. I think that the benefit that they have is to say, okay, we have this game coming out, and we want to develop this game around this particular through line that we're going to have that connects into our new Superman movie, that connects into Blue Beetle, that connects into this stuff. And then there's other games that don't. Yeah. There's animation now. And now the other part of all of this is that Warner Brothers is now making a deal with Amazon about Amazon potentially, carrying all their DC properties, their animated DC properties, because they need to, because they just lost that as Legendary, so they got to start making some deals. I'm
really curious if this HBO Max as a platform, what it looks like in 5 years. We talked about it when the first Discovery merger, but now it seems like really more daunting that Amazon is acquiring stuff. Like HBO Max needs content,
they need
so
money, though.
They
need money.
It's a tricky spot.
Yeah, and especially because I was actually having a conversation over Thanksgiving with my sister about it. I didn't even really put two and two together whenever I see it on the platform, what says like HBO original versus Max original and all that. And if you genuinely look at it, the HBO original stuff is the same high quality, White Lotus, Succession, Insecure, whatever. And it doesn't mean that there haven't been great HBO Max shows, but a lot of it is very similar. No, that's HBO. That's not HBO Max.
I think Harley Quinn.
They are on the platform.
I know what you're saying.
But it's developed
specifically for HBO Max.
Right. And there are bangers like that damn Michael Che for me is hysterical. Sex Life of College Girls, hysterical. But then you've got a whole bunch of lower rung stuff which looks very similar to like Netflix shows that they're just seeing it, throwing at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's part of what was draining them so much.
You know why that's Legend? I mean, that's why Legendary bailed, right? Legendary bailed. So how much do you guys know about the whole Legendary? So Warner Brothers, so what had happened when Legendary is a finance as much as a production thing, right? And they've been with Warner Brothers for a very long time, and then they jumped for like a little bit, and they went back to Warner Brothers.
They did the Dark Knight trilogy, didn't they?
Yeah, okay. But they jumped back. They did what was it? What else did they do? But they've done tons of stuff. They did recently Kong and Godzilla, the Dune, like all that.
Got it.
So they had jumped back to Warner Brothers and had their camp there. And then the dude who was running Warner Brothers decided it was a good idea during 2021 to not only just put everything out, like the release of June comes out, it's on HBO Max.
It was 2020 as well, right? Because they did that with
2021 was Tenet. But 2021 was when they announced that they were putting everything
at the same time.
Remember, they announced all of their movies were going to come out. Now, I loved it because as a dude who was a family person, wasn't going out to the movies a lot at that point. It was great. Now, for Legendary, who was putting up the money for a lot of these things, the problem is they weren't told. It just happened.
Neither was the creators. I remember the directors were like, "What?"
Which is still not good,
right?
But less of a slap when they put the money in for it.
Right.
So that's when they went, "F this." So from that point alone, Mary Parent over at Sony put in a few phone calls. They started developing a relationship, and look, they were getting courted from a bunch of different places, but I think Mary Parent was the one who was like, look at all these different things and let's talk. And when Zaslav came in, he did his best to try to keep. He did everything that he could, but damage has been done. And then what I had said is, if I know that, okay, Winston is working somewhere else too for a bit, and he just had a terrible experience in, let's say, June, and I call him on July 1st, and we start talking, and then somebody at that new job comes in December, but you and I have been talking since July, I'm going to have, and you like what I'm saying?
You have the advantage.
Then I have the advantage. So Sony did exactly that, and the other reason, the big advantage that they had, they don't have a streaming platform.
Right.
They're theater first. They want to put their stuff out in theater. And the other thing that they have is in all the video games.
Yeah.
They have all these different games, whether it was a Red Dead Redemption.
Spiderman.
Now that's the big one.
Yep.
Because Spider-Man is theirs, and the other extended parts of it, whether it's Craven or these other things that now Legendary can get involved. Now you have Legendary money plus Sony money to build these things up. So, and then, you know, that, and they're not relying on any, like, these places that they can license out their stuff to Netflix and all this. And that's what Warner Brothers is now doing with Amazon, because they need the scrap.
Right. And that's why I think it's going to be really interesting in 5 years what these streaming wars looks like, because this was way more detrimental than anyone thought. And I will be on record as saying, and I know you loved the streaming, but you remember you and I, like, that was one of our only debates where we were completely on other sides.
I understood it.
But I understood where you were coming from. You understood
sure.
me. But I was like, it is not fiscally possible to keep up a $200 million movie on a $5 a month app that 5 people share.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not.
I selfishly wanted it to stay forever.
And I remember, like, and I kept being like, yeah, but if the exhibition industry goes away, we can't make these movies.
But
we now are, like, we've caught up. The buck has gotten to the point where it's like, oh, all that money we lost. So we're going to see this insane. I think the writer strike is coming. I think
so?
I think Q2. Streamers are not paying their writers enough.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then streaming companies don't have the money to pay them, and they should pay them more. Right. So we're going to come to, like, an impasse of, like, this isn't possible, we didn't make any money. Oh no.
You know, apparently the biggest offender is actually Disney.
Really?
I thought it was HBO and HBO Max and Netflix, but apparently Disney for the streaming stuff, that's there.
Well, that was another big
that big
drop
hiring freeze, dude. What, like 2 weeks ago?
Well, Chapek also.
Yeah.
He dropped he went too heavy into streaming.
Right.
He destroyed everything at the parks.
Did.
Yeah, but he went too heavy. That was one of the main things that even, like, from the rumors that Iger was very upset with the way that he was running stuff with
Black Widow.
Streaming, the way that he handled Black Widow, the way that he handled the biggest criticism that he's got that I don't know enough about, but that I've heard from people like Mike who work at the parks and stuff too. Like, the parks people hate him, and one of the main Chapek, and one of the main things that I had said was that, and I don't remember who I was talking about this with yesterday. You cannot. If I come up with a plan with you guys and I'm like, okay, look, and hopefully that you guys feel in a working relationship, I treat you with respect.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And if we're having conversations and I'm like, okay, guys, here's my plan and here's what I'm going to do too, and I pay you on time, I do this, I do all this stuff, and I say, okay, but I have this plan of what I really want to do, stick with me, and it's not working. The plan's not working. You would probably say, all right, I don't know if he's taking us in this direction, but hopefully I trust in what he's doing. He's been honest with us, done this. But if I treat you like shit and I don't pay you enough and I consistently, you're going to either say F you or you're going to call somebody else and go, this guy does not know what he's doing.
Right.
And that's what happened with Chapek.
I don't think it's a coincidence that the way Black Widow was handled led to Scarlett Johansson now producing a bunch, because I feel like they're literally paying her back. They're like, oh, we owe you money. Yeah. And I think we're going to see a lot more of those type deals. I think that Iger is going to have to make a lot more of the Scarlett Johansson type deals of, like, hey, we messed up. Because, like, Nolan's at this is the Warner Brothers thing, but Nolan's at Universal now. Right. We're going to see a lot more of the loyalty directors, like, jumping ship. Like, Disney's doing great right now. But are we going to see directors like Nolan's going to the places they're?
I would say they're doing great. They just bombed on a couple movies. They just bombed on Strange World. They need some.
They are fine, but they're in danger territory. And to be honest with you, it's not because of the movies. It's the parks. It's what you said. Yeah. It's the number of people that I know in California. I never got the obsession with Disneyland and Disney World like that. I get it a little more for families, but I'm talking about, like, Disney adults. But the number of people that have just bailed because of how the parks have handled and how expensive it is. It used to be a family of 4 to go. You were looking at pretty close to, like, 8 to a G when you consider food, parking, tickets, all that stuff. People are reporting now that you're talking 2 to 3 Gs. Right. People can't. I understand inflation, but you have to be careful.
That was one of the main things Iger was furious about, and he's going to change that because he's a big parks guy as well too. I just don't know how long he's going to stay for, and I don't know if the rumor of him selling to Apple is true.
Dude,
and all that stuff
if
too.
we get another mega monopoly, if we go, Disney already bought everything. If Disney shares something, like, that's crazy.
It won't work. Literally, look at what just happened with Ticketmaster and Live Nation and the whole Taylor Swift debacle, but it has been across concerts. You cannot keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how you run into a situation where then nothing works or none of the content is good. Like that cannot happen.
Yeah,
Please, Jesus.
But I just don't know what the other options are. Like that's what I feel like about streaming is like, if we get to a point where streaming isn't making enough money and then the audience demands a caliber of content and they want it yesterday. That's like the binge model. Like it's not when you make a show and it comes out and there's 12 episodes and they dump it at once, people aren't like, yes, I respect the 8 months to 16 months that took to make this.
Right.
They watch it and we're done talking about the next day. We talked about Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Like I want to talk about Cobra Kai still, but that is literally irrelevant the week after it comes out.
I hate the fact that I already don't care because in those moments that I was watching it, I was enthralled as I have been every season, but I
you care
already
for
don't
you care for a couple of days.
And it's so fast. Like I just did the panel with the Cobra Kai guys, and I remember like trying to remember what happened to Johnny Lawrence in season 5 or season 4 to talk to the actor about it, and that's not fair to them.
It needs to, and that's just not their show. That's just Netflix in general.
Yeah, I'm just using that binge model as not sustainable.
But this just real quick though, I want to get you guys' thoughts on before we jump to the next story. Is it a good move for Gunn to not include everything or just having the side pieces, whether it's the little, I think this is a guarantee, by the way, that the Batman Matt Reeves universe is going to live on its own.
As it should.
I think you're right.
I think this is the right move, and I think that the way he's handling social media is genius. I don't know if you saw that Kingdom Come tweet.
No.
So he's genius. So there's a classic picture from Kingdom Come. It's an Alex Ross painting, and it's the Justice League like looking over this table.
I know
that image is stunning.
Yeah.
So he just
it's one of the few things I actually read that.
Oh, dude, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, I read it about when I was at Warner Brothers. I read it.
So it's he just wrote planning, and it's this image.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't say we're getting a Kingdom Come. To me, that shows look at how far we're looking out. Look at all these supporting characters. He's using social media like this generation, not like a CEO.
Right.
Like and that's smart.
No, I agree with you. And using that photo in particular was funny because I saw Mike tweet about how he was like, Kingdom Come doesn't work without 65 years of comics before. And I'm like, no. But I think if you don't look at it in terms of you're getting Kingdom Come, but like you said, with the planning that we have such a runway set out.
That he used,
Right.
It's a kind of it is very genius because you look at it's him. That's essentially a metaphor for him and Saffron standing around making the plan that eventually could lead to that
exact thing. And it's also like nerd cred. Like he's, you know what I mean? Like he's just coming out like, by the way, I know what I'm doing. I'm your guy.
And this is the guy that also produced Brightburn. He knows.
I love that movie. It's underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, he knows the lore, and he's not just picking up IP because it's the moneymaker thing to do.
He's gonna make the thing, and I think this announcement shows that he's gonna make the thing that is what the comic fans want to see shared, while also acknowledging that we need to profit from having some things separate. I think, and I've said this on record, this might be how DC does better than Marvel, because we've gotten to the point this deep into Marvel where everything has to be shared or people get upset. They're the Easter egg hunters. They're the people that are like, oh, this doesn't relate to this. If DC can have their cake and eat it too by having some stuff connected, but playing, the movies can be more enjoyable and smarter. They don't need to make everything an Easter egg or a post-credit scene.
But I'll tell you this much. What I would love, and I think this is how you marry everything together, make it no more than Easter eggs. So the way you want to connect Matt Reeves, maybe there is an Easter egg nod to some other thing, but it doesn't actually have anything to do with it. So it's not that we're bringing in Pattinson's Batman into whatever's going on with Cavill. But if there's like some random nod, it'd be stupid. And don't use this because I hate the Martha crap. But if like it was some nod to like a Martha thing, it'd be like, oh, that's funny. And we just know,
just
acknowledge, and that's it. You don't ever have to play in the same playground, but just hey, I see you, and you move on, and that's it.
Well, listen, it's saying that. That'll hold. Just bringing up that Martha bit in general, man, that's cold. And you guys don't want to be cold. I'll tell you why. You don't want to be cold. You want to get a RUMPL blanket. I love those RUMPL blankets. I love the RUMPL blankets. They're so good. Winston, I'm telling you, man, get one for Kristen. She's going to love it. It's really, really good. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff for Christmas that you can get your loved one, and a RUMPL blanket could be the way to go for you. Rumpel's on a mission in general just to introduce the world to better blankets. Rumpel applies performance materials. They're typically found in premium outdoor gear and activewear to modernize a dated and boring category. They recycle over 5 million plastic water bottles a year. Every year, Rumpel offsets the entire carbon footprint of their company. It's a proud member of the 1% for the Planet. Through the program, Rumpel donates 1% of sales to support environmental nonprofit. It's amazing. They're made from discarded plastic bottles. The extra durable, 100% recycled, 30D polyester ripstop prevents scratches, snags, and tears. And I'll tell you, that's 100% true. I've talked about it a million times over. I took one of the first Rumpel blanket that I ever got. I took it to my daughter's soccer game all of the time. And I was like, oh no, is this going to get torn up by any of these rocks or anything too? Nothing. Seemed brand new every time I put it back in the car. And now my wife has gotten these really comfortable ones, which is the indoor product line that is great for couch and movie nights. They have the cozy hemp blanket that's softer than your favorite hoodie, and they have the Sherpa fleece and puffy collections. It's a blanket made for every amount of cozy. It's so true. They're so soft. I love them. So if you go to rumpel.com and you use that code BigThingBF, you can get an extra gift with purchase. You got to visit rumpel.com/bigthing and shop now. Please go and check that out. They're really, really something special. I love these guys. I think that they're doing the mission in general and how they're approaching their business. I think if you look at whether it is Rumpel or whether it is trade, like partnering up with these businesses that really kind of help out the community in general. I think that's why we're so happy to be working with them.
That's a huge thing for me is like it's really hard. We do something that's so inherently capitalistic in the industry. Like the movie industry can be so bad, but I think slowly we're seeing that we can make cool things that are also helpful and sustainable. And I will always want to side with a company that's like, hey, we know you want this fifth blanket, but this is how it helps the world. And it's beautiful that they're really focusing.
So comfortable, dude. So comfortable.
Yeah, like you've heard raved about this like as much as the coffee.
Yes, they're so comfortable.
I know. I agree with you. I think. Look, you're not going to beat capitalism at this point. You just have to figure out
how to learn how to wield it.
Exactly.
Apple did not buy Rumpel. I can tell you, Apple.
I mean, I switched out of like the single-use plasts. Like what I mean? Like we're making moves. Like we're trying.
That's how you do it. All right, let's move on over. We got some other news that I want to talk to you guys about. We'll go with this one here. We got to just talk about. Speaking of James Gunn, it's one of his last things that and this is what he was talking about. Why everyone, no matter what, is going to be asking him about DC, but he's promoting the holiday special. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which came out, it dropped, I think, last week, whatever. Now, I'll tell you this special. Oh, I haven't told you guys this. So you're going to be excited about this. So this special came in at the right time because I told you I'm rewatching the MCU.
Yeah.
So my daughter and I, we're at Black Panther now, but we had approached Guardians too. I'm like, here we go, right? Because you know my thoughts.
Man, I love that movie.
I love that movie.
So I'm watching it and I go, what the hell is happening? I'm enjoying this movie.
Is it because of the holiday special?
No, I watched it right before I watched the holiday special.
Okay.
But what I realized is that I had such emotional damage from Thor: Love and Thunder of how much of a joke fest Saturday Night, like that and She-Hulk, of just this overly jokey nonsense. That's what I always assumed the Guardians of the Galaxy was, and it's not. There's a lot of jokes in there, and there's a lot that sometimes I'm like, come on. And funny jokes, and I still feel the same way that not everybody needs a joke. And I think the golden aliens are terrible. I think that they are terrible. They feel like cosplayers at Comic-Con. They do not feel like real aliens at all, and they're going for the bit. But the emotional moments work 100 times over.
Yeah,
they really work.
It's a special movie.
They really work well.
I can understand. It's one of those situations like watching like a football game. It's a situation where you're like, God damn it, like, can you just get your ish together? But that's not the stuff that anchors me to that movie. It's the last 2-minute drive that I'm like, holy crap.
The last 2 minutes is amazing.
With
Yondu, it's incredible.
But across the board, Yondu, honestly, everything that Gamora and Nebula are going through, like that sister fight and all that. Like
Ego, the daddy issues, man.
The daddy issues with Ego. Hell, even Rocket, I understand you're getting a lot of the jokes with Groot, like, oh, he brought the leg.
But he's going through some stuff. Yeah, and I think that ultimately leads to what's going to happen in Guardians 3 with him. So I think that as much as like I said, I still think, even though it's a funny bit up top when Groot's like listening to the music and they're all fighting in the background, it's just like this stuff. It just doesn't feel. It's like, okay, I was worried again because as I was watching, I'm like, this is just that Thor and Love and Thunder crap that I can't stand.
Much better than that.
It's much better than that. And my daughter was attached to it. Like she was so upset when Yondu.
Yeah.
She was so upset, and I was like, okay, the movie's better. But the reason I bring all that up is because then. I had gotten sent the link to the Guardian special, so it was a perfect time for me to watch it because now I'm coming off of this thing of like, okay, I like that movie a lot better. It is going to go significantly up higher on my list when I rank the things finally. And I watched the Guardian special, going into it, going, this is a one-off. This is going to be again Thor: Love and Thunder. This is going to be goofy. I'm like, I don't know, and it was just so charming and it was so sweet. And it had such like a nice feel to it, and it was a Christmas special. It wasn't supposed to tie into the MCU, like it does, but it's not supposed to.
I love the fact that we pushed forth more character development because it really does feel like Guardians 2.5. Because you still get you get a few fights, like the fights with the cop and all that kind of stuff. We get to see how powerful Mantis actually is.
We actually get Mantis to be a lead.
She's great
because she's been regulated to a joke so far.
Right.
And she still is, but to see her take that, like you said, to take the protagonist role, to take the lead.
It gave her more to do.
And to see how insanely powerful her powers are, other than just being like sleep, to be like, you are now mine. And he's like, no, I'm Kevin Bacon, a superhero.
And I love that it's Kevin Bacon.
Well, I thought the Kevin Bacon shtick could get. I love Kevin Bacon, but I thought it could get old. It didn't.
And it balanced the worlds because Kevin Bacon being himself only works in Guardians because of Guardians 1.
Right.
And it also really only works because Palm Clementoff was able to show her range with the joke. Like if it was a serious thing, I don't think I would have bought the brainwashing. But since it's Kevin Bacon, you're like, haha, like there's an inherent.
I don't want to give the line away because I want people to experience it if they haven't seen it. But like, there's a line, like, you guys know how critical I am of the stupid statement LOL. I hate it because most people don't LOL.
Right.
They're a lot of times it's just to be consenting jerk offs, right? But I LOL at Gamora's line. After Kevin Bacon leaves, she says something. Nebula, excuse me.
Yeah.
Nebula, not Gamora. Nebula says, you know what she says, right? And it's
maybe
about actors.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard.
That was so good.
It was
honestly,
hilarious.
I just think that was Karen. Like that just felt like Karen.
Yeah.
Like that was
it was such a James Gunn line.
Oh, 100%.
It was such a James Gunn line, and it was that line when she said it, and it felt like something out of Peacemaker.
Yeah.
It really did, and it's just like it just killed me. It killed me.
But I love
so
that like
funny.
Karen Gillan is so Scottish and so dry, and like that felt to me like that's how they are.
It was great.
Work perfectly together.
She's won me over too because I was super critical of her in the first. She won me over in Endgame and Infinity War for sure, but but I remember not loving her in
the first Guardians.
The second one more so, and I thought
Really?
I thought it was just she was too like, look how sad I am all the time, and look at this. But it's kind of it's the evolution of what the character was. So what's funny is that her and Katie worked together on was it Oculus? Is that the
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's funny.
She used to be a regular Meltdown, so I knew her before she got cast.
Okay.
And she is always like the most. She's like an actor's actor, so she like really goes for the craft. So whenever she like got cast as Nebula, I was like, that's not a character I ever imagined needing a Karen Gillan. So it's really funny. Like I thought she would. I mean, no disrespect to Marvel, but I thought she was better than the character because I was like, it's kind of a one note thing in the comic books. So when she made it, like for me, it was the other way where I was like, she's adding so many things to this. This could be one note. And I got a hot
knew
take.
The character more, so yeah.
Right.
What's
so
your
my hot take is, I think that Guardians 2 is better than either Cap First Avenger or Iron Man 2. So if Guardians 3 sticks the landing, I think this will be the best Marvel trilogy.
Yeah, I'm not going there yet.
I think this is the best Marvel trilogy, potentially.
Well, I'm not going there as far as I still think I might give you over Iron Man 2. I won't give you over the first.
I like 2 over First.
I just
Avenger.
watched First Avenger again. It's such a good movie. I love that movie.
It is, but
I think Guardian 2 over it for me.
It's
too jokey for me.
I understand. I just also think that when I rewatch the first Avenger, it definitely has stuff that makes it like a good film, but it definitely feels like a film where they are still trying to find their footing.
Sure.
And there's Phase 1 overall did an exceptionally good job to set all this up, obviously. But the more that I like look back on it, all of those first films, even though they're good, the only one other than like the Avengers that I'm like, damn, is Iron Man. The rest of them, I'm like,
To me, Red Skull was underused and misplaced in, like, his characterization wasn't right.
Right.
So to me, Ego is a much more interesting antagonist than Red Skull, and therefore that elevates the film because the hero has more to do.
fair.
So and like I walk out of Guardians 2 so emotionally devastated.
Yeah.
Whereas like I watch Captain America: First Avenger, I go, oh.
Well, that's what I loved about the holiday special. By the way, is that opening animated thing.
It was so good.
It was so good, and especially the way they bookend it.
Yeah,
like it's just used really well, and the writing of the special is good. And it was 45 minutes. It just went nice, and it's a good one to rewatch, especially like later on. And you can watch it. And I didn't know the thing about because that was new. Where I guess it was kind of hinted with Quill and Mantis, right?
That is so in the same way that Ego has been altered for the MCU. So is Mantis. That is not normal. Okay. That was something they did specifically for the special. I won't say it out loud, but that's but I appreciate them doing that because again, what James has done is he is like, I am still in the world that that all you comic book fans want, but I'm doing my own take on it. I mean, obviously Feige has has a lot of say in that, but that is the one thing that Gunn has done so exceptionally well with all of the Guardians films, with the Suicide Squad, and again, why I'm so excited about what he's going to do with the DCU, he just gets it. Mm-hmm. He understands how to meet every parameter that people want, but to make quality shit.
The fact that Peacemaker is one of the best comic book shows I've ever seen, from not even a C-list, a D-list character, shows James Gunn's power. That is so impressive.
It does. He's got like the comedy chops inside of a work, but I think that what he was able to do is put in a good emotional beat on it by doing that. There's another thing that happens with what I keep saying Gamora. Nebula gives Rocket a gift. Now I'll just say that, but the thing was they asked someone on Twitter how did they do that? And he's like, she just went back down and stole it.
Yeah,
Mantis gave it, right? Didn't Mantis do it?
No.
Nebula.
Nebula just went and got it herself,
and she got it herself. So that's got to play in the future. But did you think it was bad or a good choice?
Oh, I think it was a great choice.
I think it was a really good choice, and it was an uncommon choice. And I would tell you that uncommon goods, you can't get the arm necessarily on the website, but you can get some really good stuff, some really good gifts there on the uncommon.
I need a supercut of Christian's tangents. Some editor out there, I'd like you to make that up for me.
I would love to have a segue off with him.
Oh yeah, right? Like a transition off. Like someone throw stuff in the live chat. We should do a live show just to transition off.
I used to they called me the segue king on Blurs, the way I would find a way to combine. I'm so here for it.
I'm about it.
Uncommon goods, though, I will tell you this. Love and uncommon goods. And this is something, Coy, you still dating somebody?
Yeah.
Okay, listen. So this is what you need to do. You want to avoid those boring, basic, and bland gifts this year. Go to Uncommon Goods. It's your secret weapon, I promise you. It's here to make your holiday shopping. It's stress-free, and you just, a lot of times you're going to scour the globe and you get the most remarkable and truly unique gifts when you go to Uncommon Goods. It doesn't matter if you're shopping. You could be shopping for a brand new person that you've been dating. You can go to the Secret Santa. Your entire family. Uncommon Goods knows exactly what they want. And what's so great about it is that you can browse around and you can find an ornament for a tree. You can find something for the kitchen. You can find jewelry. There's so much great stuff at Uncommon Goods. I promise you will spend a lot of time on Uncommon Goods website when you just start browsing around. They look for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. As I mentioned, art, jewelry, kitchen stuff, home and bar. Uncommon Goods is something for everybody. It's just not the same lackluster gifts you can find anywhere else. Every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date. If you want to get 15% off your next gift, you have to go to uncommongoods.com/bigthing, uncommongoods.com/bigthing, and get 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. I love myself some Uncommon Goods. I love what I've been doing, and I really listen. I love the fact that we're getting. So the way it works for people who don't know, and I guess I tell you guys this the same way I tell the audience right now is, so the ad agency will come and say, "Hey, are you guys interested in this?" Mm-hmm. And I'll look and I'll go, "Oh, that sounds pretty good." And well, let me browse around, and they'll either send something or they'll give you a code, and they send Uncommon Goods, and I'm like, okay, it's like 1:00. It's like 3:30. I'm like, not that late, but it was like at least a good 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm like, oh my God, I just bought a cheese board. I bought this, I bought everything. And it's like these like trade, RUMPL, and it's like these unique things that I had never heard of before.
Yeah.
And then, so people always ask like, how are you going to support the show and how can you do it? I like the idea that you're essentially supporting yourself too.
Your own thing.
You look at this stuff, like look at the stuff that we talked about today. And out of the three, whether it's trade or RUMPL or Uncommon Goods, tell me after you check. And if you've never checked out a sponsor before, please do so today.
You can get a mug for your coffee under the blanket because it's cold.
That's right. Yeah, look at it.
Look at that.
Get
the trifecta.
I want to get
the hat trick.
I want to get that person that goes, I bought some coffee today, got myself something on Uncommon Goods, and then I'm like, you know what?
And I'm cuddled under this RUMPL.
That's
get
right.
after it.
Absolutely. Okay. So what's next? Perfect. All right, let's get to the next. So we covered that one.
Also, Groot just coming out brolic like a teenager in college. I love that.
I was worried about how he looked at first, but then it turned out he looked pretty
Some
good.
of it looked practical, which is cool.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. So I want to get to this Miles Morales story that I found. It is Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse, which I realized doesn't come out for a long time.
It got moved. It was supposed to come out in October.
No, I think it got moved again, doesn't it?
I think it got pushed
I
again.
think it's 2024, dude.
When did that? I missed that.
Because it got pushed to next October, and then it got pushed again.
I thought it was pushed from this October to next May.
Before we bring that, let me double check because I looked at it.
Let's Stephen Cable Jr. this and check the tape.
I know. Let's check, but I looked upcoming.
Because there's a third movie coming out. I think that's what's 2024. I think the second movie is next year. I think.
Okay, maybe you're right. Let's see. Look, Coy, I'm not going to doubt you after that Stephen Cable.
I think it's next year. I think it's May.
Okay.
Let's see.
Let's see. You might be right.
Now I'm afraid.
We're going to find out. So I always go to this website I've been going for at least 10 years. It's called The Numbers, which I've been checking out. So as we talked about, there's tons of stuff coming out in 2023. So Kraven was supposed to come out in 2023, but they moved that. They moved it to a much better date.
Mm-hmm.
So no big comic book movies coming out in January. February, you've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Little cocaine bear.
Yeah, but that's not comic book. Stop that. And then
cinema.
Yeah, Shazam comes out in March, so that's a big one. I guess John Wick kind of counts, but not really.
You won't let me have the cocaine bear.
No,
Let John Wick.
That's true. They should make that a comic book.
I thought there was one.
They probably should.
An adaptation.
But then May 5th is Guardians Volume 3, obviously. And then we've got you're right. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is 2023. So there's a second one coming out.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then a
right.
third comes out in 2024. I think
it's across the Spider-Verse and then
through the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
beyond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So well, look at that. So you were right again.
I was just so afraid. Today, guys, I got here on time. I've been on my
right.
juice.
You're on your game.
Speaking of which, I got like 10 minutes.
Well, that's your fault. Not mine.
It is my fault. But.
All right, let's talk about this story then. So, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse promo art showcases the three leads and Miles Morales' new costume. Some upcoming merchandise for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse showcases Spider-Man 2099, and Spider-Gwen. Though Miles Morales stands out because he's rocking a brand new costume. Spider-Man. This is from Comic Book Movie, by the way. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is fast approaching, and merchandise for the sequel is already starting to find its way into stores. Now, some T-shirt designs have been revealed, with the focus primarily on Miles, Spider-Gwen, and the newly introduced Spider-Man 2099. The biggest talking point here is Miles' new black and white costume. It's become the norm for any version of the web-slinger to switch their appearance up between movies, so we're not surprised Miles is getting an upgrade. If we had to hazard a guess, it's probably created for him by Miguel O'Hara and could come in handy for the battle against the Spot. It's all speculation for now, and plot details for the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse sequel are relatively scarce. Sony Pictures will likely start pulling back the curtain on this one in the upcoming months, and it's always possible a new trailer could drop before the year is over. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales returns for an epic adventure that will transport Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man across the multiverse to join forces with Gwen Stacy and a new team of Spider people to face off with a villain more powerful than anything they've had ever encountered. All right, so here's some of the. So this is. I'm going to bring this up so people can see this. This is the. I'm going to bring up the Miles one first.
So that's his OG outfit.
Yeah, so I'm going to do. Oh, that's the OG one. All right, so what I'll do is I'm going to do a.
I think it's that one right there.
One?
I think so. If they said there's white in it.
That one? Yeah, that looks like the one. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up real quick. And I'll show the audience so they can see it, and then so let me get your guys' opinion on it. What do you think about the new this move and the idea in general, and how excited are you for the new movie?
I mean, I'm very excited about it, but I think it is the brilliant marketing tactic that you don't think about. It's the same reason why Luke had to have a green lightsaber in Return of the Jedi. You gotta sell toys, baby.
Right.
Gotta sell T-shirts, baby.
Yeah.
Because like there's nothing necessarily unless
New Jersey or something.
Right. Yeah. Unless the suit does something crazy. Like think about No Way Home. His whole black and yellow inside out. People thought, oh, it was gonna be magical or something. No. His thing got stained,
right.
So he turned it inside out so they could sell more toys. Right. Like that's all it is, and that's fine. I no shame in the game. Make your money.
Right.
Like
I got a slightly less money take. I think it's because he's gonna go into the 2099 world and it's vibrant and colorful, so the black and white's actually gonna pop more. I think that the black and red might have blended more into the background, so I think it'd be more of an image starkness. You're gonna want the black and white.
Sure.
So I feel like it might be as well as the toy, but it also might be aesthetically useful.
I just look
because the white suit in the video game. Remember they put the white spider so you can see him better. I'm an optimist.
Look, man, let's just be real about this. Let's just be 100% real. I would say it's probably 10% what you just said. It is 90% make your money.
Hey, they put on a white spider for the toys in the game, and I bought it. So I'm gonna keep being excited.
Right, so that movie again. So we found out, at least I found out today. You guys probably already knew that we get the number 2 in 2023, get number 3 in 2024. So before Winston leaves, I wanted to also let's talk about Boom, man. We got Boom.
Yeah.
So Boom Comics, Boom Studios, they've been sponsoring the show for a little bit. They've been giving us a lot of great stuff to look at, and we're excited to be working with them. And I know that we mentioned this a little while ago on the show, and I'll let Winston, because I know how much Winston was raving, as we all were, but Winston was really raving about A Vicious Circle. So for people who don't know, you don't have to wait much longer, because A Vicious Circle is coming out after, I think it's December 14th. We talked about it a few weeks ago, and we got an early sneak preview. But if you missed that episode, this is a new prestige series from Boom by the iconic artist. It's Lee Bermejo.
Bermejo, yeah.
And the writer, Mattson Tomlin. It's the guy writing the sequel to Matt Reeves' Batman, by the way, and the Berserker movie with Keanu Reeves. So this series looks and it feels amazing. It really is one of the. You look at it just in general, how unique this the artwork is. It's awesome. I love this. I'll show you my favorite. Good. That's great. There's a lot of great art that they have provided with. I like this one, I think, the best. Like that,
because it's like hyper realistic, but still clearly a comic. It's so
old school too. It just reminds me of like the old school stuff that I used to love as a kid too. It just looks and it feels amazing. It's very unique looking in general, and it's one of the ones that I always bring up Meltdown. You know, that old school comic, and it reminds me of that in a bit. And not in story, but just in as far as just like the unique feel. And I loved it, and I think that the first issue sets up a really compelling hook in general with 2 rival assassins who have the ability to time travel. So you know that's gonna get me. The catch is that they can't control a period of time that they end up in. They lead to confrontations that take place across like millions of years. So I mean, Winston, what is the stuff that really stood out about this one?
Specifically with Vicious Circle, you found a way to marry a bunch of different art styles, a really, really interesting sci-fi story, and like I know people love to complain about like everything's woke now, but you found a way for this man to kind of like address some of the civil rights issues in Jim Crow, but also like just deal with like a sci-fi thing that's like crazy. Because like one of the things that I always loved about like Martian Manhunter is the fact that he like chose to come down and be a black man and whatnot. Same thing with Icon, because him being an alien, he chose to be a black. And so like the idea of like you're dealing with greater issues, but this is still super important at the same time. The same thing with Vicious Circle. I always joked when people were like, where would you like to travel back in time to? I was like, I don't know what would be safe for me to ever travel back to maybe the 90s. Like that's about it. I love the fact that you have married both of those stories at the same time, along with beautiful artwork and a great story. Like that's dope. That's what you want, you know? Right. So I can't stop raving about this book just from the first issue because you hit so many points at the same time and you did it well.
What do you think, Coy?
I think that it's a really good jumping on point for comic fans that maybe, or non-comic fans into comics, because it's not like most comic books. It's definitely not a cape book, but it has comic book elements. It has time travel. It has, these very good moral messages wrapped in action. The art is by one artist that I've only seen his photorealistic stuff. Like he does really great work with Batman and Joker. So I'm used to one style of his work. What I love about it is now I'm seeing, as someone that's obsessed with his work, him do completely different mediums. So it shows the strength of comic books themselves. It shows that an artist can have all of this. It shows a writer can tell all of these types of stories. So to me, it's like a greatest hits of like what comics can be. So if you don't like comics, this is a great way to be like, oh, this is the potentiality of this medium. And that's what matters to me is I always want people to understand that comics are more than Spider-Man. They're more than Superman. They can be this. So this is a great, hey, here's a number one. You don't have to read anything else. You've never had to read a comic in your life.
It's super unique, and it's coming out on the 14th, but December 7th, man, December 7th. Also, let's tell you about Know Your Station. So this is and this is again why I love Boom. Like every time this, you're going to capture me with sci-fi. So sci-fi murder mystery, and this is set in the future where the consequences of climate change, war, resource scarcity, and all of that have made conditions on Earth nearly unlivable. The ultra-rich don't have to deal with any of that, though. I feel like Coy wrote this. They've escaped to a luxurious space station where billionaires and the people who work for them get to live in comfort. But serial killer begins stalking the wealthy on the station, leaving up to Elise, the station's security coordinator, to solve the mystery. Now it's got a good mix between Knives Out and Hannibal. So right along, if I was like, hey, what if you want to see a movie, Knives Out meets Hannibal? Yeah, well now you get to read it, and it's a ton of fun. And each issue is going to feature its own uniquely twisted murder. The first issue of the series is out on December 7th. So, Coy, give me a little background on Know Your Station.
Eat the ultra rich. So I
Literally,
I love that you're like, this sounds like the Coy wrote, because it's something that I love. I really like commentary in comic books, surprising no one. And I really like when you can blend genres. So much like we were just talking about the other book, I really want people to be entertained while also hopefully growing as people. I think we're living in a very interestingly terrifying time. I think if you look at the news, avoiding the news or diving into the news, it's always scary. But if you can have a way of staying aware while also being entertained, that's a much healthier way to live. So this is a great commentary in the world we're living in. This is a great awareness. And it's also dealing with fairly common tropes. Like other stories have told the story of the world's ending. We have to build something. You've got, your Elysiums and those things. Yeah. But in this medium, there's no budget, right? Like there's just your imagination. So I like that you can build a brand new sci-fi world that's fully expansive, that there's no restraint. So your creativity is everything. So, while we're coping with terrifying things in our world, sometimes it's nice to have shades of that also feel like escapism. And that's this book to me.
It is. So once again, Know Your Station is on December 7th. And just the sell for me was the Knives Out meets Hannibal.
Yeah.
And so there you go. Ladies and gentlemen.
I got one book rec.
Oh, please,
I always
please.
want to throw in another rec as well. There's this book called Human Target. It's from DC. It's written by Tom King, one of my favorite writers of all time.
I know that.
Mike's obsessed with it.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's.
He's all about it on Twitter. It's a really good book. So the art is by Greg Smallwood, one of the best artists working, and it's like I think maybe his best work of all time, because it's this really clean art that's like it's very pencil based. You can get this feel, this flavor in it, and it's really some of the most stunning art I've seen in comics. But the storyline's really cool, and you dig it because there's the character's job is to be the human target. He's to take a bullet for someone, to get he's the source of things. But when someone tries to poison Lex Luthor, he actually does get poisoned. So he's got 12 days to live, and there's 12 issues. So basically, it's a ticking time bomb
it's
of
like
each of his days.
Almost.
Yeah. And so
All-Star Superman.
Exactly. So it's in that world, but you're encountering other heroes in a way that you wouldn't normally meet them. You've got he's sleeping with Guy Gardner's ex-girlfriend, and Guy Gardner kicks the crap out of him. The guy's like, you took 6 hours of my life. You just it's more about that than anything else. So you're seeing the morality of these heroes,
awesome.
And you're
Human
seeing
Target.
Human Target's really special.
All right, it's not the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had a fun show here today. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff coming up on Fridays. Thank you to Boom Studio. Thank you to Coy and Winston here. And we will be back next Friday, but also we got a lot of stuff coming up. We got the Avatar rewatch on Patreon, obviously, but we also have the Avatar Way of Water review that I'll have on Tuesday, or at least the out of the theater reaction on Tuesday. So make sure you check that out, or the trailer reactions, other things here. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done that. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Get yourself one of those sponsors. The link's in the description. For Winston A. Marshall and Coy Jandro, this is Capes and Cowls. We'll see you on the flip side. Peace.